Good morning from Varadero. Now this might be a strange opening for you because most of the videos are based on people staying in all-inclusives or shooting things from the beach. I'm actually staying in a Cuban house at Casa Particular, and this is the rooftop. We're starting off the day with something fun. When I arrived yesterday, Omar said to me, hey, did you know that we have a market one day a week on Saturdays? And I'm gonna go there at 8:30 to buy my week's worth of produce and things like that. Would you like to come with me? Of course I would. So he gave me a coffee, I'm going to drink this, and then we're headed to the market. We are taking a shortcut to the market, which Omar said was faster but more complicated, but he is 70, and the little shopping cart that he's taking, he told me is also pretty much 70 because he's had it as long as he's been a child. But we were just talking about the price of things here, especially in December. Everything gets more expensive because Cubans have big parties here. There's also competition from other casas because more tourists.
Omar has a weekly budget of 5,000 Cuban pesos. In December, inflation and shortages of foreign currency drove Cuba to have two exchange rates, the official government rate and a new street rate known as el toque. If you don't have USD or euros, it's difficult to survive. Omar doesn't. And so today I'm sharing what his true cost is in Cuban pesos to US dollars.
Okay, we're gonna do a walk around. He's gonna look at the prices first, and then he decides what he can buy. Prices here, people make more money, but the prices are more expensive. So it's still difficult for people working in tourism, and getting foreign dollars helps. But there are not a lot of tourists right now, which is making it even more difficult for Cubans who work in tourism. Okay, so this is the Mercado 28 de septiembre. See, they've got a little bit of meat left. He's going to get powdered milk for 1,500. You can see things have changed because there's a foreign market. So there's much more than there used to be. There used to be a lot of shortages, but at least in Varadero, they're getting a lot. Most places do have the price on things. It just makes it easier. Cuba is a country that a lot of things have prices. This market is only open till 10 a.m. and it's closed to 9. There's basically only an hour left. It starts at 6 a.m.
Este es el mejor vendedor que hay aquí. De todos los tiempos.
He is the best seller here. He's always telling people to come in. It is crazy here though. Everybody's yelling. You can get small packages of dried goods. So there's popcorn, we've got some peanuts, and then guava paste, which is probably the most iconic fruit. ¿Cuánto? 250 for one. That's a lot. But Omar says they're too small. This market is really, really hectic. If you come here, keep your belongings close to you and try to stay out of everybody's way because they only have until around 10 o'clock. Oh, it looks like huevos are 3,200 for a flat. 200 more than in Havana. Beans, chard, pineapple, these are all in season. Mango, and then he's making coconut. So they make the coconut from scratch. They do coconut oil, and then you can also get the coconut to cook with. Omar brings all of his own bags, which he washes and reuses. In Cuba, that's what you need to do. Yuca, which is one of my favorite. And then I think these might be sweet potatoes. And then of course, calabaza or squash. Omar was telling me that the coconut is $1.50 for a cup, and a lot of places here, that's how they sell. So they'll have like a cup of beans, a cup of cocoa, something like that, and that's how you pay. Everyone asks the price first before they put it in their bag. If they don't like the price, they just move on. Ajo. He's going to buy some garlic.
900 pesos.
100 pesos.
900.
No, por una. Ah, por una botella. 90. Oh, this is better. They actually peel it and they sell it in a bottle, and this is 90, so he doesn't have to peel it. Garlic actually is expensive in Cuba, which is challenging because they use it in mojo. So garlic is in so many things, almost all of the food. The kind of trinity of food is the sofrito would be garlic, onion, and then green pepper. He bought some of those small ones. Right now in season are beets. So many good root vegetables here. Now, here's the test. He's going to buy eggs. I saw them at one place for 3,200 and he bypassed it. I think he's just looking for a few. He said that eggs are about 110, which is actually very expensive for a lot of Cubans. And so every casa that I've been going to staying at, I've just said to them that I don't want eggs at the meal, even because, people who own a casa, he's running it, he doesn't own it, his nephew does. But people who own a casa generally have more money, but still 110 is expensive. And I don't love eggs, so I've just been eating ham and cheese sandwiches for breakfast at my casas and some fruit because that's enough for me. He's going to get, it looks like the beef actually comes in frozen, or they might freeze it just to keep it for while they're out here for the day. But it's a square block of meat, and I've had Cuban ground beef before. It's very, very ground. It's not like the ground beef we would get in Canada. It's still good, but maybe for our taste it might be a little bit mushier because it's like a very fine ground. So that last stand was actually ground chicken, not ground beef, but they don't have eggs. So apparently there's a truck outside that he's going to check out, but we still have more vegetables to get. These are green plantains. They are used to make tostones. All right, looks like we are done.
No nada pasará.
Omar just spent 5,000 so far. His money is pretty much out, and it's not enough food for the week. So he tried to be good, getting things that were less expensive and sustenance, but it's not easy. And and he's probably in a more fortunate position than some other people. He's gonna check out the prices here for the cabbage. It looks bigger, but it also looks a little bit soft. This is 200, but it looks like they're bigger.
No nada pasará.
300. Pero más grande. 300 in the end, not 200, but bigger. That's a tough decision. I really hope that I am not making his prices more expensive because he's beside me. Here you can get bread with eggs. It looks like for $2.50 if you want a snack. And he's going to look for more vendors outside. Different sausages, salamis, pork. You want to get here early if you're going to buy meat before it gets too hot. And then Omar is just looking for the eggs. He's heard there's a truck out here. Omar is just looking for basic seasoning, not kind of one of these specialty mixes. I mean, this is Walmart cumin, and it's 1,000, which is very expensive here. If you don't want to buy the big packet, you could buy a little. It's $1.50, but if you are looking to bring something to a cook, it looks like cumin is a thing to get. 5-star spice, cumin. We've got basil here. These are all things that if you were staying at a casa and you wanted to give to your host, I mean, the Cuban and the 5-star. The thing about Cubans is they will tell you, he's like, this is not easy. I've just spent over $5,000. I hardly have anything for the week, to let people know. Like, it's just stating the facts versus straight up complaining. But also, he has the ability just to get by. There's more availability of food right now in Cuba, but it's very expensive for most people. Most people are not in a situation where they can actually do this. I think we might have missed out on the eggs. I don't know if I can get eggs later on today in town. They'll be more expensive, but if I can, I'm gonna pick some up for him. But from what he said, this is the best place to pick up things. But let's see what time it is right now. 9:45, eggs are out. So there are still some other things, but not eggs. He will not eat eggs for the week unless for some way he can get them from someone else. And he only has a little bit of ground chicken. I really wanted to make this video for people to share with them. You know, so many of us come down here, you're like, should we give people pens and stickers and things like that? But actually, let's start bringing down practical things like medication, these spices, things. I cannot believe how much that Cuban cost. That was probably the price of Canada. So these are things to think about, and also to support local people. Support local people, support local businesses. We are going to see a woman he knows that is 90, and she always comes to the fair. But he didn't see her there, so it might be because we came a little bit later. So I was just asking him, is there somewhere in town that sells eggs? And he said, there is, but they're often $5, which is very expensive. And then also he said, you can only buy them in dollars. So it's at one of the dollar stores, not at one of the peso stores. He doesn't have dollars because it's his nephew that owns and runs the Airbnb. He just helps him. So he doesn't have access to eggs because it has to be paid for in dollars. I'm actually going to see if I can find that store because I do have some dollars on me today, and he's just been so nice. This is the woman who's 90. Hola, buenos días. Hola, buenos días. 90. No.
Va a cumplirlo.
No. 50. ¿En serio? Parece muy joven.
Es muy alegre.
Sí, es muy alegre. Gracias. Gracias.
Yo soy persona de pueblo, a mí me encanta que me visiten.
Oh, she said she's a person of the village. She loves when she gets visitors.
A ella le gusta
She's
mucho.
90. I just told her she looks.
Yo tengo que despedirla.
Ah, se va hoy.
Te voy a cantar.
Dale, canta.
Quiéreme mucho, dulce amor mío, que amante siempre te adoraré. Yo con tus besos y tu caricia, mis sufrimientos acallaré. Cuando se quiere de veras, como te quiero yo a ti, es imposible mi cielo, tan separado vivir, tan separado vivir.
¡Bravo!
Oh, I love her feisty spirit. She shows me photos of her wedding during a much different time in Cuba when it was more prosperous. Her husband died when she was young, but she says he was the love of her life, and so she never remarried.
¿Tuviste cuántos años tiene su boda?
Tuve 21 años.
21 years old when she had her wedding.
Sin tus caderas no puedo cantar. Sin tus caderas no puedo gozar.
That woman was so lovely. I just spent so much time just talking to her, just sitting around chatting, talking about how Cuba has changed, the good, the bad, the issues with electricity. Here in Varadero, you can actually drink water from the tap. There's a Spanish company that filters it, and they don't have problems with lights or Wi-Fi outages or anything like that. So they live kind of in a little different world, but still deal with the same things like access to affordable food. Okay, we're going to buy bread. It looks like actually, he says it's gonna rain later. I feel like it's gonna rain sooner. Look at all of these. This actually makes me sad. I do not ride these horses. A lot of them are not treated very well. And if you look at their hooves, they're not doing very well either.
Muévete, mami, ahora muévete. Muévete con mi ritmo y mi sabor.
When you come in here as a tourist, it looks like there is so much here, but you have to put it in context. There's a muffin there for 700. 700 doesn't seem like to you or me, sure. A little bit more, or maybe what we would pay at home, but the average state worker makes 3,000 to 4,000 a month. So to spend 700 on a muffin is definitely a treat. Bun muffin tops, 300, so that'd be 10% of your salary, as well as a lot of these other things. You really have to plan for the month, or hope that you're getting paid tips if you work in tourism.
Finished.
Oh, finished, okay. All right, we're on Calle 43, and he said that this is one of the famous streets here. You can see some cars, mostly Cubans here, I think. But he said it has restaurants here. There's some hotels here that are well known. We are on our way to the pharmacy. If you pay in US dollars in Cuba right now, you are paying more. These guys dropped a $20 bill. If they offer prices in US dollars, it's a bad transaction. This is, he said, it's an old hotel that's very famous, and it's right across the street from Factoria Varadero. We are going in the pharmacy. This is like a whole tour of what it's like to be a Cuban in Varadero. I didn't think there was anything that people could buy here, but I do know that he has problems with his heart. So I'm gonna see what we're gonna buy.
We stop at the pharmacy where he's hoping to get medication. He is very lucky they have it, as most shelves are empty. Cubans depend on tourists to bring over-the-counter medication, and with tourism down, it's becoming harder to find.
Before the pandemic, when I came here, the pharmacies used to be full, and that's because Cuba actually is well known for producing its own medication for its own laboratories. During COVID times, it produced its own vaccine, but I don't know what happened, but now there's like nothing. There's nothing at all. There's people who have serious issues and cannot get access to medication. So when we came down, all the medication from Mexico that we had bought that Alan did not use, Cipro and a bunch of other things, we brought everything down. And I've heard that veterinarians will also take medication for animals, even if it's been expired. I think if it's just expired, they'll take it. But what I would say is if you are coming down here, you want to bring everything you can. And then also if medication goes on sale, pick it up. There are people who need it. There are people who have cancer and some other things that they can't get medication for that. Okay, Omar's gonna show me the shopping mall here. Totally different. I can see that they've got like fancy shops here, so it'll be interesting to see what they're selling. Omar was just saying that a year ago, this whole center was filled with tables, lots of people here because you can get pizza and a lot of other things. But tourists are not coming right now for a couple of reasons: lack of lights, mosquitoes, baños, bathrooms. But for various reasons, tourism is really down when Cuba needs it the most. He said cafe here, but not something that Cubans can access. So the reality is that Cuba needs tourists. It needs foreign cash injection, and a lot of people who work in Varadero and all over Cuba depend on tips, depend on foreigners to come.
We hear that an MLC shop has eggs for the bargain price of $5, much lower than on the street. MLCs are state-run shops that sell imported goods, electronics, and basic necessities. However, you can only pay in foreign currency like US dollars, which most Cubans do not have. Omar doesn't have US dollars, but I do. When I offer the money, he doesn't want to take it, but I insist, so we go together. There's a long line. Everyone has heard about the eggs. Thankfully, when it's our turn, he's able to buy a flat. That night, Omar offers me a slice of flan, a Cuban dessert that uses eggs, with coconut jam he's made from the market. This is true Cuban hospitality, offering whatever they have to their guests, even if they only have a little.
What an amazing morning with Omar. You know, when Airbnb first started, it was all about sharing experiences with local people, feeling what it was like to actually live somewhere instead of visiting. And that's what he gave me today. Now, his place that his nephew owns is available through Airbnb. He is the one in the house, or you can actually book direct. So in the description below, I am going to share that. I'm also going to have a little post right here about Varadero, all my best tips, things that didn't make it into videos, so you can check that out. But you know, as we were sitting and having coffee with the women, he said to them, he's like, you know, I may be poor in money, but I'm rich in heart. And he really is. I'm just so glad I chose that spot. His Airbnb has fantastic reviews, all based on him. And it's just a different way that you can experience Cuba.